Hey, Cancer. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about your March 2023 horoscope. March is going to be a pivotal month, if not the most pivotal month of the year 2023. So I'm excited to talk about it. But before I start, I just want to do a little bit of business. These videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. So I'm talking about Cancer rising. If you're a Cancer moon or a Cancer sun, this video is still applicable to you, but the house structure will not be correct. So if you don't know your rising sign, you're going to want to go to one of the free birth calculators, and all you need is your exact time of birth and location to determine your natal chart. Also, when I refer to the times and the dates, they are in the Pacific time zone. So please adjust for your location. All right, so let's jump in. March is going to see two very powerful planets changing signs. First, we're going to see Saturn move into Pisces, and then we're going to see Pluto dip its toe into Aquarius and stay at the 0 degree of Aquarius for a couple of months this year before retrograding back into Capricorn and then moving forward in Aquarius in January 2024 for the next 20 years. I have done a separate video on those two planets, and I encourage you to look at that as it's very detailed and will give you some important information specifically for Cancer rising. And I say all this because it's going to interplay with what we're talking about here today. So let's start with on March 3rd, we will see an exact conjunction between Venus and Chiron at 13 degrees Aries. This is your 10th house of career. These two, Venus and Chiron, are also making a conjunction to Jupiter. So here in the sign of Aries, Aries rules our individuality. It rules a pioneering spirit. It's the hero. It's often referred to as the warrior god. I like to think of it as the peaceful warrior, because here in your 10th house, I think this is very powerful for Cancer, as the 10th house is the most public house in the zodiac. So there's an opportunity for you to rewrite or renovate your beliefs about yourself and your ability to make resources and money that serves you and what you want to birth in this world. The 10th house is also a house where we see our public status. So depending upon what's going on in your life, there's the potential that you could bring a child into the world, you could get married, you could get divorced. There's a changing of the guard in some ways. So when we see Venus come together with Chiron to really discuss my self-worth, Venus rules our money and our relationships, but it rules our family history. And our family history is where our self-confidence and our self-worth begins in this lifetime. And having it just 1 degree away from Jupiter, Jupiter representing many, many things, including foreign travels, foreign people, but it rules the big philosophies of life. Like, who am I? Why am I here? What's the point of me? I'm just this little human banging around on this planet. Why does it matter? It matters immensely. And this dynamic is going to bring that into light. On the same day, we're seeing Mercury that rules our thoughts, our speech, what we read, the media, our early childhood experiences, as well as teammates and workmates. It rules the Gemini energy. It's going to move into Pisces, and it is making a conjunction to Saturn at the anaretic degree of Aquarius. Pisces is your 9th house of beliefs, which I think is really coming into play here, because on the same day, how you think is moving into the house that Jupiter would naturally rule. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which is the 9th house. Your 9th house is Pisces. This is a historic dynamic. Pisces rules ancestors. It rules karmic, the soul's karmic imprint. And when I say ancestors, I'm really talking about people who have crossed over, ancestral dynamics. If we look at the lineage of maybe even one human family, we can see a commonality of attitude and of they'll say the fighting spirit, or, there are group dynamics within families. And this is coming into play as Mercury moves into Pisces. And Saturn rules history as well. So there's going to be this opportunity to revisit things, but not with judgment and not with shame or regret, but rather as a piece of information to move the story forward. Because the influence between this Venus, Chiron, Jupiter energy is going to influence us through to the full moon, which is going to happen on the same day that Saturn moves into Pisces. So this first week of March it feels very much like I'm thinking about, who am I? What do I want? How do I value myself? Am I showing my self-value, or am I looking for others to validate me in some way? Because that 10th house can very much play to the audience, being Aries being your 10th house. And Saturn, I want to say very quickly, at the anaretic degree, is in the final degrees of the two signs that it has rulership over. So Saturn first traversed Capricorn, then it traversed Aquarius. So it's been very strong in its energy. Moving into Pisces is going to be jarring even for Saturn itself, because Pisces is a very emotional, compassionate, empathetic dynamic. And Saturn is not known for his empathy, but rather expecting an endurance beyond our emotional discomfort in order to achieve something. So this is going to come very much into play this first week. We go into, on the 7th, very powerful energies, as not only, as I said earlier, Saturn moves into Pisces. There will be a full moon at 4:40 a.m. Pacific time at the 16th degree. This is the 6th of 7 full moons at the 16th degree, and this one is at Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury has just recently moved into Pisces, and there is this evaluation that I believe that Cancer is doing, going from the inside out. So there could potentially be an opportunity where you feel a sense of liberation and release from old dynamics that have tethered you to holding yourself small, or inadvertently overly obligated to those in your life that you feel you are responsible for. Because on the full moon, the sun will be in Pisces, making a sextile to Uranus in Taurus. So here's a liberating energy. There's lightning that is attached to Uranus. So there's sort of this lightning bolt of thought that suddenly makes me realize, wow, maybe I've not been taking care of myself enough. And I don't mean this as far as what you're eating and what you're drinking. I mean it emotionally and spiritually, and the permissions you give yourself to see your value. Cancer by nature is the very bottom of the zodiac, and therefore can feel like the most unseen. And Pluto's been transiting you in opposition for 20 years. So depending upon where you are and what planets you have in Cancer, you've been feeling this tension between, building something for yourself and what you feel you need to do to tend to nurture those that you love. So this is all going to come into play during this full moon, and the full moon is a cycle. So it's important to pay attention to that. Now we have on the 10th, Jupiter is making an exact conjunction to Chiron. This can be a bit polarizing. Again, here it is in your 10th house of public eye. And I say that because I feel the Aries energy is asking you to be individualistic rather than playing to that public eye. The 14th degree is the Taurian degree. So where we saw Venus having a conversation with these two planets, points, Chiron being a point, I feel as if now Venus has moved on her merry way, but what we garnished from that conversation and from that full moon is now being asked to be implemented. It's about starting to take the motion forward, the Aryan energy towards that endeavor. Now, let me explain. I don't know that it's literally physical action moving forward, as it's that establishing a strong belief system that has transformed Chiron's wound into the gift that then sets the tone for how you move forward. I think this can be very powerful because when we really connect to Jupiter in a way of understanding that it represents source energy, it represents the angelic realm, it represents that which we cannot see with the naked eye. And in doing so, it gives power to the law of attraction. Jupiter rewriting my belief, turning my wound into the gift, and I absolutely believe it is a gift, and then allowing that to bring me bounty beyond my ability to see in this moment. On the 13th of March, we will see Mars in its last few degrees of Gemini, starting to make a trine to Saturn in Pisces. And this is going to go on until the end of the month. The trine will start to get tighter and tighter. Trines are harmonious, beneficial aspects. And here we're seeing Mars now wanting to be brave in the way I'm thinking. Gemini representing my thoughts. Gemini is your 12th house. So here we see this. Mars has been transiting your 12th house for 7 months almost. It dominated 2022. So there's been a sense of history coming up, a sense of maybe even feeling a bit of isolation, or potentially needing time alone to decompress from whatever stresses may be coming up. Because as we get to the 25th of the month, Mars will move into Cancer, and then it will make an exact trine to Saturn on the 29th. So this is a period of time I want you to be aware of between the 13th and the end of the month, this growing reconciliation and feeling at peace with whatever actions that you feel are necessary for you to reconcile your history, your story, where you've come from, where you felt repressed and limited and oppressed and obligated and having to endure beyond emotional comfort. Now this is an opportunity to rewrite that and garnish the pearls from it. On the 16th of March, Venus will enter her rulership of Taurus, and she will begin a journey that will have a culmination at the end of the month with a meeting with Uranus. So here again, I'm going to focus in on not necessarily partnership or possessions, but rather self-worth that Venus represents. And that self-worth allows me that self-worth indicates the journey I will take to my own happiness and bounty. So I think this is important because when we get to the end of the month, on the 30th of March, Venus will be exactly conjunct Uranus. So this journey of a few weeks is again bringing another lightning bolt, an epiphany, an awareness. Taurus ruling your family history and Taurus ruling your 11th house of hopes and dreams. I'm really kind of wanting to bring this in a very personal way, starting with your emotional body and working its way out into the physical experience, because the emotional body dictates the law of attraction. That's what the law of attraction responds to, similar to how a dog responds to your energy rather than your words. Okay, on the 19th of March, Mercury will enter Aries. And by the time we get towards the end of the month, around the 27th, Mercury will be making an exact conjunction to Jupiter. There's a theme of looking at how I think in a sort of unconscious way. What are my natural, like I wake up in the morning, I put my feet on the floor and I got to get up, I got to check my emails, I got to have my coffee, I got to get the kids to school, I got to make sure I get the dog walked. This is all mercurial. So as we meet with Jupiter here at the Virgonian degree, 18 degrees, there's an opportunity through a broadening of my thought process, a reexamination of my faith in myself as to how I'm going to move my story forward. Because the Jupiter going through Aries, and it will move into Taurus around May, I believe it is. I don't have the exact date in my head right now, but this is setting up this individual energy of Aries in your 10th house, is setting up the bounty that can be extracted and experienced in your 11th house, and not just in the form of monetary reward, but also feeling this broader acceptance of the collective, of our social media, of our, how can I phrase this? I'm not doing it very well. Often, many of us who live alone or spend a lot of time alone, we use the internet as a way of interacting socially. And so here, I think we're going to see an expansion of your networks and your willingness to birth yourself into them. On the 20th of March, the sun will move into Aries, and the very next day we'll be having a new moon at Aries at the 0 degree. This is like the astrological springtime, but this particular astrological springtime with this new moon at the critical degree on the world axis is extremely powerful, extremely important to plant intentional seeds. And all the work that you've been doing in examining any wounds, anywhere your self-worth has been nicked or dinged, or you're carrying an old story from yesteryear into today, this new moon births a new opportunity. And I will be doing a separate video on that because I want to dig in deep into what the potentials are for that moon, because the potentials are limitless. On the 23rd, this is where we will feel Pluto dip its toe into Aquarius. Again, I did a separate video on this, and I hope that you will check it out because I covered both Saturn and Pluto's springtime dynamics and how that will directly affect you. So that's about it. For the month of March. Again, we're going to kind of round out the month with Mars having a very positive and harmonious conversation with Saturn. And I want to just sort of round it out by saying many astrologers don't think that Saturn and Mars work well together. Mars wants to move forward very rapidly. Saturn wants to sort of slow down. And I very much think of Mars as Luke Skywalker, and I think of Saturn as Yoda. So while there's all this ravenous energy to run forward, when we pay attention to the wise master that Saturn is, offering us wisdom and offering us the power of our ancestors to support us as we endeavor new experiences that are so, in some ways, feel so foreign to us, because in the human structure and apparatus, these big dreams feel a little out of touch. But from a planetary aspect and from the divine laws of the universe, when we take Mars's bravery at the 2nd degree, the Taurian degree of using my skills in Cancer, nurturing myself, nurturing my intuition, and using Saturn as somebody who isn't trying to hold me back, but rather wants me to be very clear, because Saturn is now in Pisces, about how I'm taking my actions, and am I inadvertently taking them based on old beliefs, based on an old story, rather than the renovated version of yourself. Okay, that's it for me for the month of March. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm available for readings. Please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the notification bell, and please join me Sunday mornings live, 11 a.m. Pacific time. It's where we get together and we look at the week ahead's transits, and the angels give us advice for traversing those transits. So we do personal readings every Sunday morning. All right, that's it. I look forward to seeing you next month. Have a great March. It's a big one. Bye, Cancer.